Republicans had the simplest, clearest slogan ever. Had enough.
The Republican-controlled Congress takes the helm in the House. The GOP now possesses a clear working majority in both branches of Congress.
After 18 years on the political sidelines, Republicans are back in control of Congress.
Since 1931.
It's the first time since the Depression that the Republicans had real power in Washington. And they were raring to go. They really wanted blood.
Galvanized, the Republicans now target the White House. Their candidate is tough, slick, and camera savvy.
Thomas Dewey was an incredibly impressive guy. When he was a prosecutor, he went after the former head of the New York Stock Exchange. He went after Lucky Luciano. He was an incredibly successful governor of New York who created the state university system, who cut taxes. Thomas Dewey was a political superstar.
In 1944, Dewey had run against Roosevelt, but nobody beats a popular president in wartime. Now Roosevelt is dead, and the country holds Truman responsible for its economic woes.
Dewey's already seen as a man who can save us, a man who's heroic.
What's the outlook, Governor?
The outlook is excellent, sir.
And with a Republican Congress blocking his policies, Truman looks doomed.
There's a sense that not only is he a lame duck for the country, there's a sense that his party is very disappointed that a man who had been a hack from Missouri is now the president. The words that were most common used were incompetent, unappealing, and unelectable.
Is the race for the White House over before it's even begun?
The Republican Party chooses its candidate for the world's biggest job and give Philadelphians a glimpse of convention razzmatazz.
1,000 delegates are crammed into the municipal auditorium to choose the next Republican presidential candidate.
I was 21, almost to be 22. I had just gotten out of the Marine Corps. I was a Republican, mainly because my family had been Republicans. There was great fanfare when we came, and it was very exciting. Big, noisy, a lot of music, people running around with placards and banners. It was a mess.
For the first time in history, they have to make room for television cameras.
They were so brightly lit that delegates were advised that they might want to bring sunglasses to protect their eyes against the glare of the artificial lights within the convention hall. Women had to wear brown lipstick so that in black and white TV it looked natural. So you had people walking around with heavy makeup and brown lipstick in the middle of the convention hall while sweating profusely.
It was hotter than Dickens in Philadelphia.
The convention will now come to order.
Dewey arrives confident of his party's nomination, but there's a strong challenge from Senator Robert Taft, Senate leader, senior conservative, and a president's son.
Taft and Dewey were natural, lifelong, and enthusiastic enemies. They were profoundly different men in vision. They were put on the planet to piss each other off.
Dewey has 350 delegate votes in the bag, but he still needs 200 more.
Preparation was Dewey's middle thing. Dewey made sure that he had a card file on every delegate, who their friends were, who might be in a position to influence them.
Dewey's campaign manager is Herbert Brownell, a man who'll go farther than most to get what he wants.
He operated to get things done, and he had his own style and knew what he was doing.
Brownell's mission: to get delegates to vote for Dewey. Easy when you know their darkest secrets.
The Taft people, with a touch of paranoia, believed that the vaunted Eastern establishment knew your bank accounts, probably who you slept with, all sorts of things with which to compel you to vote against your interest and your philosophical inclinations.
Brownell targets the uncommitted, making them offers they can't refuse.
Pennsylvania was a huge uncommitted state. Guess what? Congressman Hugh Scott from the Philadelphia area was named as Republican National Chairman, and Dewey got Pennsylvania.
Before the evening session opens, frantic conferences continue. Huddles on the floor.
Brownell's tactics prove effective.
Senator Brickup with a dramatic message from Senator Taft, conceding Dewey's victory, urging that it be made unanimous. The other candidates follow suit.
I am profoundly sensible of the responsibility that goes with this nomination. In all humility, I accept the nomination.
Dewey was an excellent speaker, and he did a wonderful job explaining what the whole concept of the Republican Party and what his cause was.
We must solve the problem of establishing a just and a lasting peace in the world, and of securing to our own and other like-minded people the blessings of freedom and of individual opportunity.
Dewey chooses as his running mate California Governor Earl Warren.
Talk about a green ticket. The governors of New York and California.
I was confident that that was an absolute top winning team, and the country deserved it, and it knew it, and it was going to elect them.
3 weeks later, the Democratic convention comes to Philadelphia.
The donkey replaces the Republican elephant. It's the Democrats' turn now, and the city of brotherly love considers President Truman's nomination a foregone conclusion.
As a sitting president, Truman's nomination is secure, but his party is sure he'll lose the election.
People smell defeat, and they thought Truman was headed to defeat.
Truman won't attend the convention until the very last day, but stays glued to the television.
The time has arrived in America for the Democratic Party to get out of the shadows of states' rights and to walk forthrightly into the bright sunshine of human rights.
Rising star Hubert Humphrey electrifies the convention. He urges the Democrats to support the burgeoning civil rights movement.
172 years late.
I was 22 years old. He gave that speech with such enthusiasm and such vibrancy. I was enchanted by it.
And we courageously support our president and leader, Harry Truman, in his great fight for civil rights in America.
Truman knows civil rights is a powder keg issue for the Democratic Party.
The response of the Southern delegates in the hall was just outraged. They started booing. They
I'm going to make a quick point here. You remember, civil rights was a huge issue when Lyndon Johnson was president in 1965 and 66. This is 48, and the Southerners are not interested of having any civil rights for Negroes. That's the point here.
throw off their hats in anger. They throw down their signs.
Mr. Chairman, in the face of the platform adopted, we bid you goodbye.
It was very personal, almost, to us, sitting right there in front of them. And it was very dramatic.
Truman's horrified as the Southern Democrats walk out of the convention. Defeat in November is looming.
Bye, Harry.
revolting delegates call goodbye, Harry. Harry Truman is preparing to leave Washington aboard a special train for Philadelphia to accept the nomination.
So Truman's got no margin for error. He's faced with the prospect of losing some states that are then traditionally Democratic states. He's got to find some way to tend to his party.
At the left window to the left of the door, you can see the back of Mr. Truman's head.
In just a few hours, in front of his party and a television audience, Truman will be fighting for his political life.
This convention address would be the first truly national address where it would be listened by everybody in the country, and so we were very nervous about it.
Accompanying Truman to Philadelphia is his team of speechwriters, including George Elsey.
All of us who were on the train with him worked with him. He would sit with all of us and read aloud or talk aloud and ask for our suggestions.
The only thing between Truman and defeat is this one speech.
We would not give him texts with long paragraphs and that sort of thing. They were more like a series of topic sentences with large space in between. We wanted Truman to talk to the people in their own terms, not make a formal top-down speech.
Now here we are to the presidential car coming right up now. President on this side, waving to us.
Truman doesn't actually ascend to the podium to give a speech until nearly 2 a.m. in the morning. So people are tired, they're hot.
Everyone was sweating. Everyone was wanting to get out of the damn place as soon as possible.
And I can remember him striding up on the platform in that white suit, which was a little bit droopy at the time.
It was a tough situation to get up and try to persuade a large audience to listen closely to what you have to say. Oh, nearly everything was hanging on his speech.
Thank you very much.
Things start badly.
I can't, I have to have them up where I can see.
People can't see the president. They begin to heckle.
We were very, very nervous on the edge of our seats.
I'm sorry that the microphones are in your way, but they have to be where they are because I've got to be able to see what I'm doing.
Truman plows ahead, rallying for the party to unite.
There have been differences of opinion, and that's the Democratic way. Now it's time for us to get together and beat the common enemy.
He went at it with a strong, vigorous manner.
I'll win this election and make these Republicans like it. Don't you forget that. We'll do that because they're wrong and we're right, and I'll prove it to you in just a few minutes.
Oh, I thought he did exceedingly well. I thought it was a superb performance. And the way it was accepted and received by the convention showed that it was the right approach, the right manner.
Oh, everybody stood up and applauded. He just electrified the audience, coming in at that time of night and giving that speech, yes.
Finally, his ace card, an attack on the Republican Congress.
Well, the Republicans came here a few weeks ago and they wrote up a platform.
Truman accuses Congress of hypocrisy. Just months before, Republicans blocked Truman's legislation intended to revive the economy. Now these same measures are part of the Republican election platform.
They promised to do in that platform a lot of things I've been asking them to do, and that they've refused to do when they had the power.
He says, look, the Republican Congress has prevented me as president from doing all these things that we think we should be doing as Democrats. It's not my fault as a president, it's their fault.
They were in charge in Congress, and if they had America's best interests at heart, why weren't they doing something? Why weren't they fixing anything? Why were they intent on actually accomplishing nothing?
Truman throws down the gauntlet.
I am therefore calling this Congress back into session on the 26th of July. I'm going to call that Congress back, and I'm going to ask them to pass laws halting rising prices and to meet the housing crisis which they say they're for in their platform.
Here's your platform. We can't wait until after the election. Let's pass it now. It is possibly the greatest call to put up or shut up in American political history.
Back to Washington for the special session of Congress. President Truman.
Do you understand the brilliance of that? In other words, the Republicans were saying, we want to do this and this and this and this, and Truman saying, well, if you really want to do that, do it now while I'm president. Don't wait till after the election. Is that going to put some pressure on him? I mean, no question. It was brilliant strategy, because if they choose not to act on his legislation, they're showing the country they're not interested in helping the economy, etc. So really brilliant strategy.
Called at the Democratic Convention.
If the Republican Congress refused to pass legislation aimed at boosting the economy, Truman hopes it will prove to the American people that the Republicans can't be trusted.
Positive action by this government is long overdue. It must be taken now.
He looked strong. He looked like he was in command. He looked like he was seizing the agenda. And I think that, particularly coming in post-Roosevelt, that had sort of eluded him.
Our people need legislation now to help.
Congress blocks the call for action. Truman's plan is working.
They sit for 11 days, and that's basically, that describes what they do. They pass no legislation of consequence.
Harry Truman put the blame where he thought it should go, which is a Congress that's doing nothing. So he called it the Do Nothing Congress. So it was an effective message.
He turned the tables. You know, he had very much been on the political defensive, domestically anyway. And so that was a very forceful way to take command.
Truman's tactics have damaged Republicans in Congress, but Governor Dewey is unaffected.
Dewey's team make a campaign film to be shown in movie theaters around the country.
He is the product of a small town in the Middle West, having been born over a general store in Owasso, Michigan in 1902.
Scheduled for an October release, it's a real Hollywood production with Thomas Dewey as the lead.
If you were going to cast someone in a movie as a presidential candidate, he's the guy.
Tom Dewey likes to take whatever time he can from his busy public life to spend with his two boys, Tom Jr. and John.
Dewey is promising America a fresh start.
They took a poll of the 50 most respected journalists that wrote about politics in America and asked them who was going to win, Dewey or Truman, and it was 50-0 for Dewey. Not one journalist predicted that Harry Truman would win.
We recognized he was relatively unknown to the American people, and he would have one heck of a chance of winning the election.
Truman needs to get out of Washington and meet the doubters.
So on September the 17th, 1948, Truman's campaign train pulls out of Union Station.
Truman's journey takes him through the Midwest, where he trails Dewey by as many as 11 points.
Part of the strategy of the whistle stop is to go to parts of the country that had in fact leaned Republican for the past year.
First stop, Dexter, Iowa, where Gallup polls give Dewey 48% of the farmers' vote and Truman just 38%.
To him, farmers were the lifeblood of the country, and he wanted them to know it, and that he was going to be on their side.
Most of these people never left the little town they grew up in. So to have a president of the United States arrive on a train and step out and talk to them, it's a huge deal. We can't even understand how big it was to me.
Truman isn't the only candidate after the hearts and minds of Americans. Dewey's on a train as well.
Is out to entice the voters and oust the Democrats after 16 years.
The Dewey train was a model of efficiency. It was a reflection of the man himself.
Only at intervals can the governor and Mrs. Dewey relax. At every station, voters have been demanding glimpses of the fast-moving GOP headman.
He'd come, he'd wave, he'd smile, he'd make a speech, never departed from the script.
I pledge to you an administration which will know how to work with the elected representative of the people.
Truman and Dewey's trains crisscross the country, eating up the miles in search of votes. And when Truman pulls into town, he turns on the folksy charm.
He came from his quarters inside the train, stepped on the platform